Hello, hello, welcome. We're here for our weekly romance oracle reading. I just was at the grocery store and I ran over to Dollar Store to get some like gardening stuff. They usually have like cheaper things than the other stores. And I didn't run into, but there was someone driving out of the parking lot, an angry man who screamed at me, "Go back to San Francisco." I guess it was because of my outfit. I was born in Tennessee. I don't know. But that's not the way that you attract ladies. Let's just put it that way. What is he so mad about? My outfit, I guess. We're here for our weekly romance oracle reading. Before we begin the reading, I had an idea. Let's take a survey. So in the comments, let's find out where the single people are hanging out. Okay, so if you are single or if you used to be, weigh in. Maybe give your age and where you hang out. Depending on if your handle is obvious, whether you're a man or a woman, maybe say like you're male or female or anywhere in between, if that's, you feel safe doing that. But maybe just let us know, like, okay, as a single person, I go to these places hoping to meet another single person. For me, for instance, I don't go to the bar very much, although I do like going out and having a good time, but I don't have like a huge income to go spend money on going out for drinks every week. So I try to be social and open and cute while I'm at the grocery store every week, or if I go to like Home Depot or somewhere like that. And I also go to the park near my house whenever I can. And so there is, every now and then I'll see like an eligible gentleman like in the middle of the forest, but a lot of times the bigger crowd is around this more open area with a big walking track. So I'll make a point to go to the walking track whenever I go to the park. And then also I go through the forest as well. And I try to, be approachable and cute and ready for conversation. I did have a guy talk to me at the grocery store tonight. He really liked my hat, and I was like, oh, thank you. I didn't take it any further because he had a lot of facial tattoos, and no judgment, but that sometimes sends a red flag to me. I'm not sure what's going on, if we're going to be fully compatible or not. And I don't like to judge a book by their cover, but sometimes there's just certain things that make me feel like someone may not be a match, right? For the man driving away in his car today, obviously he did not like the way I was dressed. And like, I agree. I don't think I would be a match for him either by his aggressive nature. But I do know what it's like to want to yell at people out the window. I feel the same way when I see people in a Tesla truck. So I recognize that in that moment and try not to be too bad about it. So let's weigh in. Let's give each other some insight. I know there's a grocery store that is near me called the Turnip Truck. It's like a nice like organic grocery store where you can sit and eat lunch. And I always see single dudes eating there. And I need to make it a point to go eat lunch there. I'm a nocturnal feeder. I don't usually eat lunch. So I need to make a point to go to the coffee shop more and to like the grocery store lunch area. But if you guys have ideas, and you girls as well, women and men, everybody, all of us in between, weigh in. Where do you think is a good place to go meet people? And where do you go looking to meet people? Let's find out. All right, so for this week, what is going to help us in our love lives? Where do we need to put our focus and direction? Ooh, chemistry, love that. There's a strong magnetic attraction here. Very exciting. So maybe somebody has a crush. Maybe we have a crush on them. Maybe we're going to meet someone soon that we do have chemistry with. Now, if you do meet someone that you have a lot of chemistry with, don't let that get ahead of you. Make sure to get to know one another slowly and take your time, space out your meetings a little bit, but not too far, right? We want to space them out in the Goldilocks zone where we keep the excitement and the interest going and building, and we're building momentum, but we're not going so fast that we start to get in deep before sometimes we can start building a bond really quickly. And sometimes that's premature because we can find out more about someone as the weeks go by that are not really in alignment with our values, or maybe even red flags about their attachment style or personality traits. And because we've gotten so attached so quickly, it's harder to say, okay, maybe this isn't a real match. Maybe we don't have long-term compatibility, and it makes it harder to walk away. Also, for men particularly, they get really excited about spending a lot of time together in the beginning, and then a few weeks go by and suddenly they've fallen out of their routine and they haven't seen their friends as much, or they haven't been doing their thing. And then all of a sudden they feel like it's gotten really serious really fast, even though it's been their kind of influence to push things and push things and push things. And then they get panicked. And then they push the brakes and they're like, oh my God, I think we need to just take some space because, things are moving so fast. And I want to, and even if they are the kind of high value guy that ends up wanting to commit, it's inevitably they always run into that if you let things go really quickly in the beginning. So it always behooves both parties to just take it at a moderate pace, getting to know one another, but also showing your interest. For me, personally, I like when someone shows me a lot of interest. I like when they're texting me a lot and they're calling me on a daily basis and they are putting a lot of effort in. I like that. I do not find it attractive or exciting when, as a straight woman, for a man to try to be distant or coy or hard to get or kind of putting attention on me one day and not the next. I just feel like he's going to be wishy-washy when it comes around. I feel like my bill is curling up and it's giving my hat this weird thing. But I feel like he's going to be wishy-washy and hot and cold once the relationship starts, and that also concerns me. I'm I'm too exhausted and old to deal with that. I just want someone who is equally interested in going out and having nice conversations on dates and building intimacy and building interest, and who's also okay, I am an introvert, so I need time alone as well. So I need a bit of balance of both. But what I don't like is a guy who wants to manipulate me into liking him more by pretending to be interested in 1 minute and not the next. So I don't know. For men, though, it's kind of opposite. They like a challenge. They like to hunt. They like a little bit of mystery. So, and you guys weigh in the comments, what do you prefer? How do you feel about the opposite sex and the experiences that you're getting right now? Don't turn this into a battle or a gender war. I mentioned, happened in this coaching video that that I was watching last week, and then I made the golden mistake of making a comment, and then this troll found me of all the people that were making comments and was just really cruel and really mean. And it was I think it was a test from the universe, because he doesn't know me from Adam. And it was all the things that I have this theory that demons, especially the ones that hang around you, will get a hold of people who don't have possession of their own consciousness, who are easy to pull their strings. And then they will use them as meat puppets to say the thing that hurts you the most. That they'll use that person as oh my gosh, what did that one guy call them? It wasn't pendulums. He was calling those specific demons pendulums. And I was oh my God, I know about those too. I just didn't have a name for them. But I feel like these pendulums take people over and they use them to try to crush your spirit, or to try to get in your way, or distract you, or divert you, or slow you down. And it's like people who don't know their own thoughts, they don't have control over themselves. It's like they temporarily get like taken over, especially if they're coming from like this like rooted anger. Like this guy was clearly like rooted in anger, and he had something really big against women who like had any kind of like independence or success. And it's like, just in case there's a man out there watching this video right now, it's like women are in a really precarious position right now. We're kind of afraid of men, especially conservative men, especially religious men. And I'm a Judeo-Christian woman with like total belief and faith. But I'm afraid that certain men are going to be super controlling and abusive once I get into the relationship with them, which I've experienced before. And so that comes from men from any belief system or whatever. But I think that there is like this gender divide happening right now, and women are becoming more choosy because we've experienced being less choosy. And for me personally, I've always been open to the idea that like love's all you need, right? And it's never been about money for me. And I've never gone for the typical like cliche hot guy with the muscles and the height and everything. Like the guys that I've dated have been quirky and unique, and they haven't necessarily been big earners, and they haven't necessarily been very motivated either. And so in many cases, people on the outside have warned me like, hey, you're not picking someone that's your equal or that's a step above you. And so that's going to get you in trouble. And I was like, no, I love this person for who they are. Like, I'm trying to see past these things. And what happened was those men knew that I made an effort in growing intellectually, growing emotionally, growing spiritually, and making an effort. Even though I haven't been very successful in any of my dreams, I've worked hard and made the effort. Whereas they get kind of like opportunities in the boys club, but spend their time just like kind of wasting time. And then they have resented me and punished me for it in the relationships. So now I'm wary of not picking someone who's on my like same wavelength in those areas. So it's been a really weird situation out there, because a lot of people want to be the provider and they want to make more than you. And then I've had also experiences where some men are like, you don't make enough money and you're not on my level. And like, what, I don't know, all I can do is just do the best I can. And I'm just like trying to get by and pay my bills. And then a lot of men think that they see a single woman that doesn't have kids and they think that that's because of their choice, that they're just being selfish and they don't want to have children. And there's a lot of men out there that are aggressively, having this hate speech against women who are unmarried and childless. Well, I've wanted to get married my whole life, and I've never met the right person, and I've never met the right person who was ready to commit. And a lot of the men in my age group were commitment phobes, and they still are. Even now, trying to like relate to them, they're like happy bachelors who don't want to be bothered with it. And so I'm in the situation I am in, and it's not all my fault. I mean, the only fault that I had was not leaving those guys sooner, but I was trying to be a good woman who was devoted and stood by that man who made me believe they wanted to commit, So I don't know. It's a struggle for everyone, but I think that the answer is not hating on the other sex. It's trying to understand them better and trying to approach them gently and build our emotional intelligence and build our compassion for one another, and try to put the ego down. So many relationships just begin at the seed level of an ego battle and a power struggle. And somebody pointed out recently, we need unleavened dating. I love that. Like, we need to put the ego aside and be authentic. This one guy was messaging me recently and he was like, yeah, I'm trying to work on being more authentic. And then I tested him. He reached out to me on one of the stormy nights, and we were forced to take cover at work to like wait out the tornado warning. And so I was kind of bored, and I just happened to open social media, and he had just messaged me, and he was like, "How's your day?" And I just answered right then. And then it was like, never heard from him again. And I'm like, okay, well, you need to work harder on being authentic, because clearly you wanted someone who wanted to play manipulative games. Either that, or he like looked deeper into my account and he realized that I'm like a spiritual person, and he wasn't willing to, be someone of that kind of level or whatever material. I don't know. You never know about people, but what creates chemistry for you? What do you find attractive? I know for me, I find attractive someone with a great sense of humor, someone who I have things in common with, that like wants to talk. And like, I love someone who's a chatty Cathy, that like wants to talk, wants to like go deep in conversations, or even just tell me about their day, whatever it is. I love someone who wants to talk. I hate someone who's like all clammed up with nothing to talk about. They don't want to be bothered all the time. It's like, I'm an introvert too. I like my space, but when it's time to hang out and spend time together, someone who's just like not willing to make conversation is like, nah, not my thing. I like someone who is active, who gets exercise, who's like kind of got energy. They don't have to be in perfect shape, but I do like an outdoorsy person who's not afraid of nature, who's not like constantly annoyed by bugs and like weather and like heat. Like someone who can go camping and have a good time. Ooh, very soon. Yay. We keep getting this message. So whenever we want to call in our soulmate, call in our partner, we want to be doing that inner work on ourselves. That really puts out the signal of our authentic resonance, and it lets our soulmate know that we're preparing for them. I learned in Kabbalah once that if you are harboring anger, that is repellent to your soulmate, that they don't feel like on a soul level, they don't feel comfortable or safe to come into your vicinity, because they're afraid you're going to be angry and aggressive towards them. So I'd say working on releasing any old grief, any old baggage, any old bitterness towards exes, working on being a good partner, right? Working on developing your relationship skills, and also working on the ability to say no to who's not right for you, right? We can't get caught up and tied up with people that aren't right for us. And we can't really entertain people on our back burner just to have somebody to give us energy, right? Like we all know that when someone's paying attention to us, or when they're flirting with us, even if we know they're not possible, or if they're like live somewhere else, or they're not quite right for us, it's still exciting, and it still kind of boosts our esteem, our self-esteem, our ego a little bit. And it's exciting. But if it's not something that can actually develop into anything, then we're leaking our energy, and it's sort of like stalling the soulmate from coming in. So clearly decide what you want so that it comes to you now. We had this card last week too. So somebody's coming. Somebody is coming. They might be closer than we think. Okay, hold on. Soulmate card. Eee. Yes, this is your soulmate. So the soulmate could be close. The soulmate could be coming. Always be careful to not make assumptions, right? People have to earn their place as they grow closer into your life. And as you trust them, they need to earn your trust. They need to earn intimacy. They need to earn your time and, the amount of time that you're spending together right away. This is a process that makes people value you more, right? Instead of just being so readily available, or being, like jumping in and trusting them right away, wanting commitment right away, or, physically like sleeping with them and getting like physically really serious right away. People value you more if they take time and bond properly over time. You might be that kind of person who overshares like too early. And that's one thing you need to like push the brakes on a little bit. Like, get to know someone on a topical surface level on the first date. It's like, have a good time. See if you just can have a fun time together. Going into the deeper things, like after a couple of dates, right? You don't want to go into all your family history and all your baggage and all your exes and all that stuff. Sometimes you don't even need to do that at all. Sometimes you can just leave that stuff in the past and talk about it with your friends and your family. But it's the person that is your romantic partner, like they don't need to be burdened with having to have all those seeds planted in their mind, and they start comparing themselves to that person. They start having curiosity about that person, right? So leaving that to be a bit mysterious and just let the past be in the past. I feel lucky that I've had enough distance between me and my distant ex that like I feel no need to bring him up anymore. Like I ran into one of my old work people from production in the grocery store tonight. He was with his wife, and he was like, "How's your boyfriend?" I was like, "Oh, he's been gone for years." And he was like, "No, not that guy." I was like, "You mean this?" I said his name, and he's like, "No." I was like, "That guy's been gone for many, many years." I was like, that last one, he's been gone for years too. We don't need to talk about him. It's fine. But yeah, so soulmate's coming. So be prepared, clear your energy, clear, like if you're holding on to like sentimentality over someone or holding the torch, put the torch out, put the torch down. If it would have happened, it would have happened by now. Particularly in extreme times, people want to hunker down and find people they trust and reconnect. Just let it be a new thing. Jesus said, I'm doing a new thing. We're doing a new thing. Okay. So this was one of the cards that jumped out, and I put it back in the deck. True love. The Princess Bride. If you guys haven't seen that movie, it's practically part of my DNA. I was raised on it. This is the romance of a lifetime. So I feel like true love can be coming very soon. I mean, look what we have here. We have chemistry. You're going to have chemistry with this person. You're going to be attracted to them. It's not going to be someone you have to settle for and like be like, well, I guess, we have a couple of things in common. We can make it work. No, you're going to have chemistry. This is going to be very soon. You're going to feel a soulmate connection with this person, right? And, the soulmate, this isn't just like one person. In Kabbalah, we learned that this is a level. It's like the highest level of relationship. It's when you meet someone who's also done an equal amount of work on and healing on themselves as you. You're equally yoked. You have common purpose in life and common beliefs. You're on a path that aligns. You don't have to be exactly the same, right? You might have slightly different dreams, but maybe you encourage one another's dreams and you believe in one another and you champion one another. And because of your relationship, you are more for it, not less. It's like you're whole on your own and you're not having to complete someone. You're not having to heal someone. It's like they've done the healing. You've done the healing. You're good on your own. But like having that person being together, it enhances you both. And then because of that, your love actually spills over and enhances your community. It starts to roll over into having like a positive effect on the world around you. And then true love, right? So all the things that we're wanting here are possible, and they might be coming very soon, sooner than we think. So I'm excited. Are y'all excited? Okay, so let's look more into chemistry. What do we need to know about chemistry? Okay, let's get that top card. Ooh, healing. The star card talks about like major healing, like healing that we have been working on for a very long time, healing generational curses, healing the mother wound and the father wound, healing from the echoes of the harsh things that maybe past relationships, past exes had said to you. This is being beyond that now. We're breaking the chains of those memories and those curses and words that were put upon us by people, and maybe they weren't intended, right? I mean, our parents are young when they have a family, when they start out, or most of our parents are. And so they can, do things and say things to each other that we are exposed to that they don't mean, to do damage, and it does, right? Every parent does this. It's just part of the script. It's part of the process. It's part of the things that we're here to deal with and overcome. It's part of our tikkun, right? And our tikkun is the soul contract that we have before we come to earth, before we're incarnated in this life. We have, we agree to certain parents and certain places that we live and certain challenges and struggles that we have that are going to illuminate our soul. And it offers us challenges that we can overcome our negativity and our weaknesses and our shortcomings, but also awaken our superpowers and our strengths and our talents and the depths within us. And sometimes it can't happen unless we have that distant father, or that overbearing, harsh, strict father, or that overbearing mother, or that distant mother, the cold mother, whatever it is that you grew up with. It's usually the challenges about your parents that are the things that activate the dormant parts of you that can be awakened into superpowers. Think about the myth of Chiron. Chiron was the wounded healer who was rejected by his father Saturn. But because of his wounds, those were the things that drove him into his inner study, his spiritual seeking. And because of that, he learned how to heal. And through healing himself, he was able to also become a healer and a teacher for others, to lead them and guide them about how to heal. So we don't bemoan our wounds or our challenges, but we learn to be grateful for them and the way that they've shaped us and given us character and dimension and depth. And so we don't go through the ringer on purpose, but the things that we've gone through, it's like we embrace that, we own that, and we transcend the things that we've experienced. So the star card also talks about the realization of a long-held dream, like a destiny point in our lives. So that's very exciting. So chemistry, and like when we have healing, we can have so much more chemistry because we're not motivated by fear and anxiety and anxious attachment style and codependency anymore. It can really be natural. It can really be authentic without being neurotic. And so you build more chemistry and you're able to maintain more chemistry through a healed heart chakra. Now, a lot of people have an attraction to the crazy person, right? The person who has those insane ups and downs. They blow up and they have these huge, it's all emotional turmoil and a battle one day and make up the next. And some people are very attracted to that. That is a red flag. That is codependency. That is disorganized attachment. And so if those people are wanting you to be more crazy, they will do things to provoke you. And that is a bad sign right there, because they have all kinds of emotional issues and they're going to bring out the worst in you. So you want to bring out the best in yourself by finding someone who's also, has a healed attachment style, has a, what is the good, secure attachment style. And sometimes that seems boring in comparison because they're not flying off the handle. I am not a person that flies off the handle. I'm mostly fairly level-headed. I get salty sometimes, but it's like a sass, I'm like a sassy little barbecue sauce. Sweet and salty, right? I'm not that wild, insane person. I'm not super jealous or possessive. And so in some cases that has not been attractive to people. It hasn't created that crazy, obsessed chemistry. But I would rather have something grounded and authentic and real than being in a full-on high blood pressure, upset day and night, you know, like it's just not for me. Okay, so very soon, and heart chakra. So work on healing and opening that heart chakra. You can actually do stretches that pull your chest open and sit up and raise your rib cage and open that chest to the world. You can use the color green, and that actually starts to activate your heart chakra. It also activates your creativity and fertility. And you can meditate, and when you're meditating, you can focus your energy into your heart center, and you can feel that heartbeat, and you can focus on that heartbeat, and you can breathe into your heart, right? You can specifically pray for your heart in your prayer practice. I can't help but notice the 6-point star here, the Star of David, which is the marriage and the alchemical marriage and balance of the masculine and feminine energies brought into balance. So this is the comfort with the feminine side of our intuition, our feelings, our emotions, and we balanced those, and we're not controlled by them, but we're able to be comfortable with our emotions and be able to express them and have intellectual, emotional intelligence, right? Understanding ourselves and our motivations, but also trying to understand and get to know what drives and motivates another person. So opening your heart, being a good listener, not just waiting to impose your view on someone or use your turn to talk, but really being receptive and seeking to understand rather than being understood. Seeking to listen and let someone excite you with their story rather than trying to also excite them with how you did that also. I get guilty of that too, because I get excited and I want to be like, oh, me too, I did the thing. And it's just like sometimes people just want you to be impressed with them, right? So being open, being receptive, being a good listener, being interested in someone and fascinated by them and wanting to ask more questions, go deeper. Don't keep the conversation surface level, but keep going into, deeper questioning about like what they're into, what they're excited about. Oh, how, like, what makes you excited about this? How does that make you feel? Getting into those questions rather than just topical, let's get the facts kind of thing. That's what makes it feel like an interview or a job interview. When you're just asking these like factual questions, it kind of takes the excitement. You want to get the emotion stirring by asking people things like, what are you excited about? What makes you excited? What lights you up? Like, getting into emotional conversation, feeling conversation. Okay, we've got soulmate. New vitality, I love it. So this is Ace of Wands. This is a surge of new excitement and passion and virility and, spring fever. It's a little lusty. It's a little excited. It's very phallic. It can be a sexual excitement. So this is going to be that kind of soulmate connection where you're brought to life on like a heart, soul, mind, and body level. It's going to be all of those areas of compatibility. And sometimes when you're opposite from someone, that's also compatible because you're bringing out parts of someone and you're filling in the gaps of their weak, like where they're not as strong or where they're not as weak or where they're a little weaker in that area and they're not as strong. It's like you can bring that side of it. And when rabbis talk about a good, successful relationship, they talk about a help meet rather than a help mate. And what that means is that you're like an equal contender. You're offering them a different point of view. It's not just that you're submissive and you go along. You're there to challenge that partner and be challenged by them. I know for myself, I'm very wary of someone who is the nice guy. Not because I don't like a kind man. I love a kind man. I love a generous, patient, and forgiving man. But the nice guy or the nice girl what happens is that they become, they're people pleasers, and they're afraid to rock the boat. They're afraid to disagree. They're afraid to have a different opinion. They're afraid to tell you no. Even if you're not an aggressive person, even if you're not pushy, it's like they don't want to say no. And what happens is that then they don't get their needs met. And then they build up this slow and quiet resentment that builds over time. So trust me, I've gone out with the nice guy many times and it never ends well. So I've gotten to where I'm actually very much more attracted to a man who can look at me and disagree, or who can say no, or every now and then who can give me the business and put me in my place back. And also be comfortable and allow me to do the same. Because otherwise, one of you is just going to ride roughshod over the other, or be bulldozed, or feel like you're falling into the shadows, are invisible. So it's like you need someone who can disagree, who knows how to have healthy discussions and healthy communication, and who's not afraid of when an argument is healthy to have that argument, and also to offer a different point of view to their partner and be open to learning and growing through one another. That's the point of it all. It's not just to have an echo chamber or someone to be obedient and silent. It's a person who can bring you out of yourself and bring you beyond who you started out as, and bring more out of one another because of it. True love, we have believe and succeed. Or if I remember correctly, we had this card last week. So this is 6 of Wands. This is victory, achievement, accomplishment, going forward beyond the challenge, and basically getting momentum towards the right direction, towards completion and fulfillment. So this is believe in yourself, have confidence, have that quiet confidence. It's not pushy, it's not loud. Believe that and trust that God is sending you the right person. That no matter what, the person who's meant for you is for you, and that person is out there. And even though they could be with another person, at the moment, when you're both ready, it's it will happen without you interfering, and it will happen effortlessly. And they will suddenly, their circumstances will change, and they will make their way into your life, and you'll meet them when the time is right. So you don't have to be afraid that you've missed it. And you can take the pressure off from trying to make something work that doesn't work, because if someone's not meant for you, it's never going to be right. If they're not yours, it's never going to be right, no matter what you do. Having said that, it's also not good to have the attitude that it doesn't matter if the person's right for me, I can do anything, I can make all the mistakes and it'll still work out. You're still setting yourself up for relationship problems early on. So you want to do things the right way. You want to take things slow and make things exciting in the beginning. It's much more exciting and fulfilling to take it gradually, because you get to stretch out the romantic courting phase. That's a really fun phase. Remember how fun it was to date in high school before everything just got so fast paced? Think about that. Think about the romance. Think about the sweetness and the cuteness and the excitement and the mystery. Once you're a bored, couple, you're a bored couple. But you don't have to be. You can work on that excitement and mystery forever. You can always make it fun. You can always make it exciting, but it is easier to maintain that level of always dating your partner if you don't rush into everything in the beginning and rush through those phases. If you build a relationship based on friendship and fun and communication and taking it slow, then you've set a good foundation, and you can maintain that because you've already built the muscles to interact with one another in that kind of way. And you're not rushing through all the cortisol or the oxytocin, the dopamine, right? So in the beginning, it's everybody's getting high on the dopamine, but what you really want is the oxytocin. The oxytocin is the real bonding chemicals, whereas the dopamine is a quick shot and then it's over. And then you need more dopamine and more dopamine. And then you get numb to it. And it's just like, it doesn't do its thing anymore. That's why there's so many couples that are struggling with like impotency and no sex after like 6 months, because it was completely built on dopamine rather than oxytocin, which is it's like a deeper bond that creates that excitement. And once you have like the dopamine burnout, it's like it's really hard to like get that fired up again after that. That's why porn is so damaging, because it fills you up with these quick hits of dopamine. And then it's like, it becomes like any other drug where you need more and more and more. And eventually it just like the drug doesn't even work anymore. So I would recommend detoxing from porn. And I'll admit, like, I have partaken in my life at some times or another, but I don't know, the more I deepen my relationship with God and my prayer practice and all of my spiritual work, it has had less appeal, and the evilness in it feels more obvious and like repugnant. So it's like cigarettes. I used to smoke cigarettes, and I prayed that I would not like cigarettes anymore, and I would lose my taste for them, and that the flavor and the smell and the whole process of it would become repulsive, and it did. So, and now I don't ever want to smoke anymore. Even when I'm drinking, I'm like, I don't really want a cigarette. Every now and then in the fall, I like to have a clove, because it's a whole nother thing. It's like spicy, it's like fall-y, it's relaxing. I'm not a cigar person, but a clove is kind of nice. Camp, fireside in a brisk weather. But neither here nor there. Off topic. All right, you guys, my birthday's this weekend. So if you want to support the channel and buy me a drink for my birthday, you can download the 2025 prediction series and buy yourself a gift. And through that's basically almost buying me a drink. It's not quite as much as a drink costs, but if you would like to say happy birthday to me, that'd be a great way to do it. I would be tickled pink, and you would be giving yourself a very valuable tool that you can use through the whole year. There's a yearly, like a year-wide prediction reading that's like channeled messages from me, and a Celtic cross that has journal questions to help you workshop through the themes coming up. There's quarterly readings for spring, summer, winter, fall that have corresponding journal questions to kind of workshop through those themes as well. And then there are monthly readings that also have their own corresponding journal questions. So what you will do is you will buy that for $10 in my Stand store, which the link is below in the description box. And then you will be emailed a playlist or a link to a playlist. And then where you will find the journal questions is in the video description box. And it'll take you to like an unlisted private YouTube playlist, essentially. All right, you all. Well, that is all for tonight. Tomorrow we will reconvene for our weekend reflection message. All right, peace.